Good day and welcome to Caribbean Connect. I am Kimberly Ramkalawan. Today I have with me Dr. Joyce St. John. She is the CARPHA's Executive Director, who's here to discuss Caricom's public health response and economic recovery measures, which is also part of the agenda on the meeting. Thanks for joining us and welcome to Caribbean Connect.
Thank you.
Thanks for taking some time from your schedule to be with us here at the CMC Center. Tell us some of the areas that would be concern to our leaders with particular reference to the public health response and economic recovery. What is on the agenda?
So what was on the agenda was the public health response to COVID-19, an update, and also the emerging issue with monkeypox. And I spoke to the leaders about where we are in the progression of the pandemic. The Caribbean has really done a good job with containing first disease and then finding the balance between lives and livelihoods. And so the return to economic activity safely is what I discussed. And I discussed the whole issue of how the member states want to ensure that they not only deal with COVID, but build resilience while they're recovering. So the whole idea is to roll COVID into the usual health concerns. A lot of programs may have been put aside, but it's time to focus on the usual programming and support economic recovery and development.
Now, part of that economic recovery and development is the reopening of travel, and obviously health has a part to play in the safety of our Caricom members or Caricom citizens.
Yeah, so we're lucky that we're in a phase where we're seeing Omicron, and CARPHA would have recently detected both BA4 and BA5 in the region. And so it's going to be important that we don't stop the flow of tourism and business travel and trade, but we also have the right mix, and that includes upskilling or making sure that we have the right needs for the health services. Luckily, BA4 and BA5, they spread really fast, but you don't tend to get severe illness and not too much death. So the member states have really had a lot of injection of funds, equipment donations, supplies, materials, reagents. So they have a bit of buttressing to deal with whatever is happening. But the travel aspect of it, no. CARPHA has a tourism and health program which worked a lot with the hospitality industry, not just the hotels. So the whole idea of being safe while people are traveling into the region is important. But what is of concern to me is intra-regional travel. There really hasn't been an improvement in intra-regional travel. We've bounced back with tourism for travel into the region, but we need to connect and keep that connection. So I'm hoping that the heads will focus on that as well. It's been slowing down things like getting supplies, getting samples to CARPHA. And it's a good thing that the security cluster, RSS, has been able to fill some of that gap.
How has this been presented to the Caricom leaders and heads as they meet and convene to discuss this topic?
Oh, in several different ways. CARPHA is part of an interim tourism working group, along with our tourism partners. So we would have met and prepared some briefings for the lead head with responsibility for travel and tourism.
Now, there has been a steady supply and donation of medical equipment through CARPHA to CARICOM countries. How long can countries envision this vaccination drive among regional states?
The vaccination drive, I think, is from the perspective of the COVAX supplies, I think is coming to a close. CARPHA would have supported a U.S. donation of Pfizer. That has come to its natural end. So I think the purchase of vaccines through bilaterals is going to be supporting any vaccination drive that is coming through donations. I can't speak for the member states, but I do know that there is in development a new vaccine which is Omicron specific. And I personally would like to get my hands on that for a booster. I'm not sure what the member states are doing, but we must remember the usual vaccinations against polio, against measles. They need to come right back in focus because we don't want an outbreak of something else that is vaccine preventable.
Definitely. Now, just last week, PAHO and your agency, CARPHA, would have signed a subsidiary agreement to improve regional public health and including health security. If you can expand a bit on this, I know travel entail is part of that. Just give us an idea a little more, because it's all part of work of Caricom. I know that.
So when CARPHA was established just under 10 years ago, 2 of the 5 regional health institutions which were amalgamated were PAHO institutions. So PAHO promised to support a lot of the work that is not necessarily something that donors are going to support. So we had something called a biennial work program. We have now graduated from that. And we have instead a framework agreement and subsidiary agreements which will fund specific work, like the Caribbean regulatory system, which ensures that the new drugs coming into the market are up to quality and standards that you find elsewhere. And there's also the post-market surveillance, where we actually test medicines to make sure that they are functioning properly. So PAHO is supporting that work, and PAHO is also supporting the testing, some of the testing in the lab. They're also supporting our surveillance, and this is all part of the regional health security work that CARPHA has been doing.
Now, there are several topics that are carded for this year's meeting, including food security, and I know that CARPHA has a role to play in food safety. Just how much your agency is involved in this topic and even other areas of interest? Are they overlapping with health?
Oh, yes. It isn't just food safety, but we have a nutrition program, nutrition surveillance, and with the food safety program, which also gets support from PAHO. With the food safety program, we ensure that what not only comes from the farm, but all the way in the continuum to the fork, we're making sure that the safe processes end up with a safe meal. And then from the nutrition aspect, we're ensuring it's a healthy meal.
Now, there's also been talk about development of the pharmaceutical industry in CARICOM states, among CARICOM states. Can you give us an idea of how this will work with our member countries?
So I talked to you about the Caribbean regulatory system for drugs that are coming in, or are you talking about manufacturing?
Manufacturing. That's the interesting thing.
So the Caribbean regulatory system can support any development of manufacturing capacities by ensuring that what is being manufactured is using progenitor products or substances that are up to standard, and ensuring that what is a final product is also up to the standard that is around internationally. That's before it's done. And then after it's done, Medicines Quality Control and Surveillance Department will make sure that what's circulating, that's being produced by Caricom for Caricom citizens, remains of the highest quality.
That's interesting. Now, I understand that this year you had mentioned the establishment of CARPHA and the coming together of these bodies. I think July 2nd marks the anniversary.
Of the signing of the agreement, yes, but operations started in 2013. So it's at the end of this year that we will be officially 10 years old.
As a CARICOM agency, as a Caribbean agency, tell me a bit about what you're planning to do to mark this occasion.
You want me to tell you all my secrets? Okay. So we've been talking about things that we would do for our staff. And part of that is the recognition of the higher being and the fact that he or she has guided us to this point. And then there's going to be the recognition of our staff and also making sure that we have a fun day with them. And then we'll do some other things for the general public, but no secrets.
No secrets.
No secrets will be told.
I'm sure you're going to have quite a packed campaign in store for your Caribbean nations and partners.
Yeah, we're always working way too hard.
Thank you very much. We want to thank Dr. St. John for joining us today on Caribbean Connect.
Network, your business channel.